So we have done till we have done till unit 12 yesterday. Today we'll be starting with unit 13 and we'll see how much we can go forward. The plan is to complete till unit 24, but we'll see how will it be possible or not. Let's start with unit 13. So unit 13 and unit 14. Let's mark what we have to talk about. Basically, what is important from unit 13. Responsibilities of a paying bank and responsibilities of a collecting bank. As we talked about the Negotiable Instrument Act yesterday, right? Negotiable Instrument Act as a whole is very important for you all. So from unit 12, 13 and 14, a question can be combined together from here. A question can be combined from here, and we will be moving. We have to know all the responsibilities, whatever the sections there are in the Negotiable Instrument Act. And then we have to talk. Then what is important for you is these three acts: the RBI Ombudsman Scheme, the Consumer Protection Act, and the Right to Information Act. These three, the ones that I have marked, they all are important in nature. You should be thorough with them. Be very thorough with them. Wherever there is a point that is important for you in whichever unit it will be, I'll let you know. I'll mark a star there, but these specific 6 units are important. Let's start with unit 13, responsibilities of a paying bank. Who is a paying bank? So there's a chart that I have prepared. So SBI, a customer A is a customer of SBI, issues a check to B, a customer of PNB, stating the check in the name of B of 50,000 rupees. B goes to his bank. B's bank is PNB, A's bank is SBI. B's bank is PNB, A's bank is SBI. Since B is presenting the check to PNB bank, it is the collecting bank. It is the collecting bank. And the amount which is getting eventually be paid by A, it is in the bank of SBI. So SBI is the paying bank. There are some responsibilities of SBI and PNB which are discussed in unit 13 and 14. Unit 13 talks about responsibilities of a paying bank and unit 14 talks about responsibility of a collecting bank. What the banks should always be act in good faith and without negligence. There should be no malintentions on the parts of the bank. Okay, let's start with the MCQ. So these are some case laws that you have to be thorough with. Make sure that you read these case laws before going to the exam. Let's start with the first MCQ. The first MCQ is on the screen. The first MCQ is on the screen. Answer is A. Statement number 2 is incorrect. Statement number 2 is incorrect. See, I've mentioned the case laws above. That is why I've said key you have to go through these case laws. In Bhutoria Trading Company versus Allahabad Bank, the bank was held liable because it failed to verify the authority of the endorser and ignored red flags despite the check being uncrossed. Now you might be thinking, how will we remember the case? There are some cases. You do not have to remember all the cases. There are a few cases that are important for you and you have to know that, and that is provided to you in the chart. Okay. In this case, the court upheld that the bank's action, the check was uncrossed, properly endorsed by the company's manager and bore the action. Okay. Bore the action of the correct seal. The bank verified the identity and acted in good faith without negligence. Therefore, payment was considered in due course and bank was not held liable. Make sure that you remember the case name, Bhutoria Trading Company versus Allahabad Bank. The court held that the bank was acting in good faith and was not wrong. Okay, next question is on the screen. This is a situation that is given to you. Please read the situation properly and then attempt the question. Statement number 1 is correct. Statement number 2 is correct. Statement number 3 is not correct. Similarities of signature alone was sufficient for the court to rule in bank's favor. No, the court did not accept similar signatures alone as a sufficient ground. It found the specimen signature produced by a bank to be different from the genuine signature. And here it is the fault of the bank. It is the fault of the bank. Thus, statement number 3 is incorrect. That will give us A as the correct answer. A is the correct answer. Next, question number 3. Question number 3. Which of the following statements are correct in the context of the paying bank under the Negotiable Instrument Act? An easy question. Please read the question properly and give the answers. See, statement number 1, 2, 3. All the statements that are given are correct. Section 31 talks about if a check is dishonored without just cause despite the availability of sufficient balance, it is the duty of the bank to, it is the responsibility of the bank, it is the liability of the bank, it is not the liability of the holder. Second is this, there is a judicial precedent. We have talked about Canara Bank case. In this Canara Bank case versus Canara Sales Corporation, a check signed with a false signature does not carry customer's mandate. Statement number 3 is again correct. If one signature on a jointly operate account check is forged, the check lacks a valid mandate and the bank cannot process it even there is the other signature is genuine. All the statements that are given are correct. D is the correct answer. There is an explanation for all of the questions. Please read the explanations. Next question. Consider the following statements in the context of banker's obligation under Section 31 of the NI Act. Section 31 of the NI Act. Section 31 says that if there is sufficient money in the bank of a customer and the check is dishonored, it is the mistake of the bank, not the drawer. Not if the bank is liable, and the bank is liable to whom? The bank is liable to the person who has drawn the check, not to the holder of the check. Statement number 1 is incorrect. The bank is liable to compensate the drawer of the check, not the holder of the check. Statement number 1 is incorrect. Other statements are correct. That will give us C as the correct answer. C is the correct answer. The banker is liable to the drawer and not to the holder. Next question. Which of the following statement in the context of banker's obligation under Section 31 are correct? What are correct? Section 31 imposes a statutory obligation on the banker to honor check duly drawn by the customer. Yes, it is the responsibility of the bank to honor the check. If there is money in the account, you pay that amount. Next, mandate payment of a materially altered check, even if alteration is not apparent, absolves the banker from liability under Section 89. See, if there is no apparent mistake, okay, you cannot check that there is a forgery done, but the banker will get protection only and only if the bank is acting in good faith. There is no full-on exemption. Bank, if they are acting in good faith and there is no negligence, so they will get protection. So there is no blanket protection. Statement number 2 is incorrect. Statement number 2 is incorrect. There is no blanket presumption. A is the correct answer. Next question. XYZ Private Limited maintained a current account with ABC Bank. As per the company's mandate, the check were to be signed solely by the MD. Company said that the checks will only be signed by the MD. The company's accountant, who had access to the checkbook over several months, forged the MD's signature on 35 checks amounting to 4,20,000 rupees. These checks were presented to ABC Bank and were honored without detection. They didn't check it. It is again the negligence. It shows negligence on part of ABC. Upon internal audit, the fraud was discovered and XYZ Private Limited demanded reimbursement from the bank, claiming lack of the mandate on the forged check. ABC Bank refused, stating the bank's internal control were weak and it is its employee who has committed the fraud. XYZ sued the bank for recovery of the amount based on the judicial precedent. Who is liable for the amount paid on the forged check? Who will pay? It is the bank, because bank was negligent. Bank was negligent. Right? Do you want me to explain this question? Why are you guys not replying? ABC Bank will be liable as there was no valid mandate to pay the forged check. You did not do the due diligence. You were negligent. B is the correct answer. It is the same case of Canada versus Canada Sales Corporation. Next question. Next question. Please read the question. See, these questions are for you. If you are not going to, because it is the bank. See, when we present the check to the bank, it is the duty of the bank to check whether the money is the whatever is given on the check is correct. There is no problem in the check. Bank never checked it. Bank, it is the responsibility of bank. Why did they pay on a forged check? And it is the responsibility. See, accountant will eventually file a case against. Accountant will be filed a case against the accountant will be filed for forgery, for fraud. But the bank will be liable to compensate the company. The person who did it intentionally, Ranaji, will eventually be paid. He'll be filed a case against. There will be a criminal punishment. But right now, there is a reimbursement that is needed. It is the bank's fault. Please read the question. XYZ Textile, a partnership firm, approaches ABC Bank for cash credit facility, As per the agreement, the loan would be disbursed for the purchase of cloth bales, which would be pledged with the bank as security. The firm was to draw check in its own name and hand it over to the bank. ABC Bank then entrusted the cash to its employee. They gave the cash to the bank's employee, Mr. Kumar. The accountant, Mr. Kumar, to accompany the firm partner to the clothes supplier and make the payment directly. Bank never gave money to the partners, rather they gave money to its own employee. However, Mr. Kumar absconded with the money before payment was made. ABC Bank, having failed to recover the money from the partners, filed a suit and claimed protection under 85. Based on Bank of Bihar versus Mahaburi Lal, the bank entitled to protection. Will the bank get protection? Did the bank give? Yes. See, the sign was correct. It was a forgery, na? It is the duty of the bank to check the sign. If the sign was proper, if the bank did whatever was required, if the bank checked the sign and they found that there is no material alteration, they were acting in good faith, they were not negligent, then the bank will not be liable to pay. It is the company is going to ask money from both the sides. The company will file a case against their accountant for fraud. They can send them to jail as well, but they can ask for compensation only from bank. Answer this question, please. This is a good question. It is a fact-based question. I need you to answer this question. will bank get protection? Bank never gave money to the partners. Bank gave money to its employee. Why did you give money to your employee? You should have given the money to the partner or the representative. You gave money to your employee, even though that employee was accompanying them, he ran off. The money was never given to the partners. Money was never given into the authority of the partners. Partners are not liable because payment was not made to the firm or its representative. It was made to your own person. Bank cannot claim protection here. C is the correct answer. Very good, Pavitra ji. C is the correct answer. Not to bank employee. In the case, bank employee was not an agent of the firm but the bank itself. Therefore, since the payment was not made to the firm, the payment cannot be asked and the bank cannot seek protection and they cannot say payment in due course. Next question. Consider the following in the context of judicial interpretation under section 10, 31 and 89. What are correct? The paying banker who honored a forged check is never protected under section 89 even if the forgery was so skillful that escaped detection. If you have checked, if the check was presented to you, suppose this is a piece of check, you got this check, everything that is written on it is proper. You cannot find out that there is a mistake made here. There is some forgery, there is some material alteration. Now you have done whatever was required at your end. You are acting in good faith. You are not negligent. You will be protected. If you did not check the signs, you were like, the writer has signed it, okay, I'll pay it. You never checked the sign. You never did the due diligence. Now you will not get the protection. So the banker who honors the check and did all the due diligence will be protected. The banker will be protected. Only the proprietor will receive the cash. Yes, the company will receive the cash, Ranaji. Statement number 1 is incorrect. Statement number 1 is incorrect. Next question, next statement. In the Bank of Maharashtra versus MS Automotive Engineering Company, the court emphasizes that mechanical means such as UV light are not mandatory. The lines of visual scrutiny is sufficient for the above case. So what happened in this case is you can only determine that the forgery is done if you present that check under the UV light. How can you expect the bank to keep a UV lamp there and always present a check, put a check there to check whether it is authentic or not? There can be other ways of deterring to do any wrongful act for altering. It is not the duty to check all the checks under the UV lamp. So if the check that is presented is usually proper, there is no material alterations, the signs are proper, you have done your due diligence, you are protected. You are protected. Statement number 2 is correct. Statement number 3 is incorrect. Section 89 protects bankers even if the payment was not made in due course. The payment should be made in due course. You should be acting in good faith. There should not be any negligence. Statement number 3 is also incorrect. That will give us C as the correct answer. C is the correct answer. Next question. Next question. Please read the question. Hemant ji, whoever has asked for the money, you pay money to that person. If I have asked for loan, you give me loan. If I have authorized my mother to take loan on my behalf, she can take loan. But that authority should be given by me in writing to you. You will not give money. Suppose my sister comes to you and asks for money. Ki Devshri has asked for a loan. Give me money. Will you give that to her? No. Because she is not my authorized agent. She is not capable to get my money. So the person who has applied for loan, bank will give that to him only. If suppose you give the money to your employee, it is your mistake. If you gave to any third party, it is your mistake. You be vigilant. Both are correct. Both the statements are correct. I have explained these cases to you in the classes. Both the statements given are correct. Next question. XYZ bank paid a check amounting 10,000 that appeared to be drawn on MNO Private Limited. The check was presented by ABC traders through their collecting bank. After the payment was made, it was discovered that the check was entirely forged, but the signature and all other writings, both the signature and all the other writings. The forgery was so skillful that even an expert banker could not detect it. Here the bank get protection because they cannot determine it. It was so skillful. Upon discovering the forgery, XYZ Bank filed a suit to recover the amount from both ABC Bank and the collecting bank. ABC Trader and the collecting bank. ABC Trader said that they received the check in good faith and as per routine business transaction and delivered goods only after confirmation of the check clearance. The collecting bank also maintained that it acted in good faith and the check collected the check in the ordinary course of business. Everybody was acting in good faith. The collecting bank said we did all the checking. The person who was about got the money, they said that I did whatever it was possible. I gave the money against the check. I received the money and then I gave the money. So you cannot take away my money. Who will be liable here? Who will be liable here? C is the correct answer. XYZ Bank cannot recover the money from either ABC traders or the collecting bank due to estoppel and equity principle. Nobody was acting in bad faith. Everybody was vigilant enough. Everybody was doing their part. You cannot claim money. Now who is going to suffer? Who will be actually paying? As putting the logic, who will be paying? Is it the customer whose account got debited, or is it the bank? We are saying collecting bank is not responsible. We are saying the person who received the money is not responsible. We are saying that who is going to pay now? Whether it is the MNO Private Limited or the XYZ Bank. Who will be facing these losses? Will it be the customer or the bank? It will be always the bank. Bank will be facing the losses. It is XYZ Bank will be facing the losses because the check was not proper. MNO never made the check. Now XYZ Bank can file a case against whom? The person who did forgery. For compensation, he can file a case against the person who did forgery. C is the correct answer. Next unit we have is Unit 14. Unit 14 talks about responsibilities of a collecting bank. We talked about the responsibilities of paying bank. Now it is collecting bank. Similar, acting in good faith, no negligence. Next, the key MCQ is on the screen. You are the compliance officer of Apex Bank Limited. A bank named Mr. Kapoor, a client named Mr. Kapoor opened a savings account and started depositing multiple check payable to Kapoor Private Limited. When do we add Private Limited? When it is a private company. Mr. Kapoor opened a savings account for a company. In his personal account, the check was of the company. He deposited it into his own account. He is doing wrong. On the surface, the check bears the company's stamp and are drawn to third-party vendor. Within a month, 5 such checks totaling 30 lakhs are credited to his account. A junior officer of your branch noticed the pay mismatches but does not raise a red flag, assuming Mr. Kapoor might be the proprietor. Don't do assumptions. Do due diligence. 3 months later, Kapoor Textiles sues the bank, claiming the funds were misappropriated and that the bank failed to act prudently. Yes, the bank acted misappropriate. Yes, the bank is always liable. It is that we do not ask the money from the bank. Okay, we are saying that collecting bank is not going to pay. Suppose one day I come to you, suppose you are a seller, because you are a seller, Hemanji. I came to you, I gave you a check. I gave you a check and you presented that check in the bank. The check was so proper. I did a proper signature on it. I did everything that was possible there so that nobody can detect that there is forgery done. I presented that check to you. You gave that check to the bank. You got the money and then you delivered the goods to me. Here you are not at fault. Here the collecting bank, whatever there was possible, they did that. The check was from the company that I work in. The check was of the company that I work in. My company never issued the check. Why will they pay from their pocket? It is the loss of the bank. These are the losses of you working in the money sector. These are the losses that you have to face. And that is what is giving you a right to file a case against me. You see, normal day mein, somebody murders somebody. Can you say, why did you murder me? Why did you murder me? That is, some people might be drunk. They act randomly. So there is no explanation of people doing things. There are losses that happen on daily basis. Yes, there are normal people working there, but these are the losses of a business. You can't do anything. Now, it is the bank's mistake because bank was not doing the proper due diligence here, right? Statement number 1 is correct. If the bank ignored indication that check is payable to the company being deposited to the personal account, they are liable for negligence. Yes, they are. The bank can avoid liability by proving that Mr. Kapoor had prior implied authority from the Kapoor Textile to handle such deposit in the personal account. Bank can say, see, what we knew that Mr. Kapoor is the sole proprietor. He showed us that he has the authority to do that. If bank does that, if bank gives us proper proof, bank will be protected. Statement number 2 is correct. Statement number 3 is also correct. The duty of the bank extends to verifying the apparent defect and raising queries when the breach of trust is responsibly suspected, regardless of the internal account documentation. Bank can question your action even though you show the proofs of the things that you are responsible for. But if you think that something is fishy, you ask for it. You ask for explanation because you do not want to get liable towards anybody. That is why all the statements given here are correct. All the statements that are given are correct. In the case of it was established in Australia and New Zealand bank versus Atelier, a bank may escape liability if it proves that the agent had implied or explicit authority from the principal to deposit such check into his personal account. Without such proof, defense fails. Bank can try any possible way to get them protected. अब defense तो कहीं से भी लाओगे ना, you will bring some defenses from somewhere. See, if suppose, okay, I'm Mr. Kapoor, this May is the company. Bank says कि earlier Mr. Kapoor had, if a bank shows that earlier Mr. Kapoor, basically a defense is allowed to the bank. If the bank shows that I was allowed by this company earlier, we don't know when you took away the responsibility, when you took away the authority from Mr. Kapoor, you never informed us. That is why we made Mr. Kapoor, we allowed Mr. Kapoor to get paid. Bank can take any defense that is with them so that they do not become liable. This is just a defense. Statement number 2 is just a defense, Pavitra ji. They are saying, can this defense be allowed? Yes, this defense can be allowed. Question number 2. Which of the following statement does not correctly describe the statutory protection available to collecting bank under section 131 of the NI Act? Please read the question. The collecting bank is eligible for protection only if it receives the check for collection on behalf of the drawer of the check. Section 131 gives the powers to collecting bank when it collects the check from the customer, not from the drawer itself. The protection does not extend to the case where bank is collecting on the behalf of third party or for its own use. Statement number 1 is incorrect. The collecting bank can claim protection under section 131 even if the check is not crossed as long as it was genuine. This is again incorrect. Protection is on the checks which is crossed. The crossing can be generally, the crossing can be specifically. The bearer or the uncrossed check does not qualify for protection under section 131. 131 pay protection will be just for the crossed check. Statement number 1 and 2 both are incorrect. Statement number 3. Protection is available when banker is acting in good faith without negligence and collects a crossed check for the customer. This statement is correct. Pavitra ji, is the last portion B part clear to you? B is the correct answer. Question number 3. Does anybody have any doubt? Do you have any doubt? Please answer the question given on the screen. Statement number 1 is correct. There you go. Which of the following statement is correctly reflecting the duties and liabilities of bank in context of the customer introduction, KYC norm and check crossing? If a bank relies on the forged check from an employer without verifying its independent when opening an account with third-party check, it will be held negligent. Yes, because it is the duty of the bank to be verifying all the details. For due diligence, bank should be actively working on. Statement number 1 is incorrect. Statement number 1 is correct. Okay? Next, after the implementation of the PMLA and RBI KYC directions, obtaining an introduction from an existing customer is still mandatory for opening all accounts, especially from branch. See, in new declaration, no, this statement is incorrect. This statement is incorrect. Under the PMLA and the RBI KYC norms, the requirement for introduction by an existing customer has been suspended with. आप already एक बार दे चुके हो. You have done your part. You have given your OVDs. You do not need to give it again and again. There is, if you are opening a new branch, you do not need to get a new KYC done. New KYC for new customers only. Okay, statement number 2 is incorrect. Statement number 3 is correct. The check marked as non-negotiable may still be collected by the bank without being automatically liable for negligence, but other circumstances will determine actual liability. Yes, it will. 1 and 3 are correct. C is the correct answer. Very good, Sushil ji. C is the correct answer. This is the explanation for the same. Next question. Next question is on the screen. Protection under section 131. A check must be crossed either generally or specially to the collecting bank. Yes. A banker must act in good faith without negligence. Yes. A banker can claim protection even if the payment is received from a non-customer. This statement is wrong. Protection is available for the customers only, not for non-customers. Not for non-customers. No, Hemant ji, the protection is not available to non-customers. Statement number 3 is incorrect. That will give us A as the correct answer. Protection is available to customers, not to non-customers. Question. Messrs. XY Galaxy Traders is a partnership firm. purchased a bank draft worth 2,75,000 in the name of Messrs. Zenith Electronic Limited, intending to make payment for raw material. The draft was later deposited in the account titled Zenith Electronics. There was no limited. This is the mistake. In the local branch of Delta. This is the branch, this is the account of a company, this is an account of a person, of a proprietorship firm maybe, of it is of a company limited में public company है ये. The account has been opened recently by an individual named Mr. Sharma, who introduced himself as a sole proprietor of Zenith Electronics. The bank staff failed to verify incorporation document, failed to notice the use of word limited in the draft, and accepted the introduction from local trader without conducting further verification. A few days later, the amount was credited. Mr. Sharma withdrew the entire sum and disappeared. Messrs. Galaxy Traders sued Delta Bank, claiming the bank was acting negligently. Yes, bank was. Thus should be held liable. Yes, they should be. Based on the principle of section 131, which is the correct answer? Will Delta Bank get the protection? No. The Delta Bank is liable. The Delta Bank is liable and they have to pay. C is the correct answer. C is the correct answer. Next. Next question. Please read this situation. I need you all to read the situation and give me an answer. XYZ Bank Limited recently opened a new branch in semi-urban area. Since the branch had limited existing customer, the bank staff relied on the reference from local resident and nearby businesses to open new account. One such account was opened by Mr. Arun Sharma, who provided a reference letter from reputed local trader claiming to know him personally. Mr. Sharma deposited third-party check drawn in favor of his employees and presented a letter authorizing him to deposit the check. Without verifying the letter with the employer, the bank credited the check to Mr. Sharma's account. Later found that the check was stolen and unauthorized. Yes, Lakshman Raoji. See, if you want to say anything, please write that in the chat section. Do not raise your hand. If you have anything to tell me or ask, please write that in the chat section. There is no verification. This says that the bank was negligent. Was forged. The employer filed complaints against the banks for negligence. Yes, the bank was negligent. Mainly, meanwhile, another account submitting a check that was specially crossed to DEF bank but mistakenly deposited in his XYZ bank without making inquiries or refusing collection. XYZ bank processed and credited. Again, wrong. Specifically crossed checks go to the specific banks. You cannot encash that. You cannot process that. The bank manager now faces scrutiny from the head office for possible lapse in both cases. Based on the case study, identify which of the following statement is correct. The bank is liable. In both the cases, the bank is liable. C is the correct answer, right? C is the correct answer. It is not my exam on Saturday. So those of you who are not replying, it is not going to help you out. Next question. Mr. Sharma, an MD of Sunlight Private Limited, is a company dealing in solar energy equipments. Over a period of 3 months, he regularly deposited several checks payable to Sunlight Private Limited into his personal savings account. These checks were issued by clients to the company for business transaction. The business official observed the name mismatch and the check, but assumed that Mr. Sharma is the director and can handle the funds. Assumptions are never good. Assumptions make the bank liable. Bank will be liable in this situation. You read the paragraph, you will find that the bank was liable, bank was negligent, and bank will be liable. This will be, the answer will be B. Bank is liable for negligence for failing to make provision, make necessary inquiry despite clear warnings. B is the correct answer. Next question, C. This is the difference between B, Module 13 or Unit 13 and 14. You need to go through this, download this PDF and go through these things. Next question. Next unit, sorry. Unit 15. The ancillary services. Ancillary services means the extra services. What are the extra services provided by the bank to the customers? Okay. So, first question is on the screen. As per RBI prescribing limit, what is the maximum charge allowed for NEFT above 2 lakhs? NEFT above 2 lakhs. Answer the question. It is rupees 25. 25 plus charges. It is actually 24.50. Next. Which of the following statement correctly reflect the concept of portfolio management service? This is again an extra services provided by the bank. So portfolio management services mein what will be the correct answer? Statement number 1 is correct. Statement number 2 is not correct. Portfolio management, higher expected returns are always preferred regardless of the associated risk level. No. Portfolio management allows always consider the risk-return trade-offs. Simply preferring higher returns without calculating the risk will not help us in investment. We check everything before investing the money. Statement number 2 is incorrect. Other statements are correct. That will give us 1, 3, 4 as correct. That is B is the correct answer. B is the correct answer. Next, third. Keep on replying to the MCQs. The answer is C. If the rent is not paid for 3 years, with proper notice and procedure, you can take away the locker. You can break the locker open. C is the correct answer. Which of the following statements related to hiring out a locker by bank are correct? Hiring out a locker by bank are correct. Bank must ensure transparency in the locker allotment and are required to maintain wait list and vacancy list at the branch level in the manual register only. This is not a requirement. The lists can be maintained in the CBS system, in the software system. There is not a single register. Manual register is not the simple thing. Just manual register is incorrect. Both of the statements are correct. That will give us C as the correct answer. Very good, very good. C is the correct answer. Next question. Which of the following is not a service typically provided by a custodian bank? What does custodian bank does not do? It does not help in IPOs. Issuance of IPOs may they do not help. Settlement of securities may yes. Safekeeping of the assets may yes. Reporting of marketable securities may yes. Not in IPOs. D is the correct answer. D is the correct answer. Next question. Which of the following is correct regarding EBT? Electronic benefit transfer. Question number 6 is on the screen. EBT scheme ensures direct and timely transfer of subsidies and benefits into the beneficiaries outside the bank account, eliminating the intermediaries. Yes. One district, one bank module. Yes. One district, many banks, one leaders. One district, one bank, one district, one many banks, one leader bank. या फिर one district, one leader bank can be said. ठीक है? Not one district, one bank. Statement number 2 is incorrect. The moment 2 gets incorrect, we eliminate B and C. 3 is common in all. Let's see 4 and 5. A major feature of EBT account is inclusion of basic banking services along with the access of entrepreneurial credit product such as GCC and KCC. Yes, it is. We can do basic banking services from it as well. Statement number 5. As part of implementation measures, banks are not required to provide ATMs or debit cards to beneficiaries, as cash dispersal is solely done through business correspondence. This statement is incorrect. Banks are indeed required to provide outside ATMs and on-site ATMs. The credit cards beneficiaries are used for easy conveyance of the money. That will give us A as the correct answer. A is the correct answer. Statement number 2 is incorrect. Statement number 5 is incorrect. Next question. Next question. Regarding DD and BC. A DD is not a check but is treated as one under the NI Act. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. DD or BC above the face value of 20,000 must not be issued in cash. It must not be. Again, correct. The name of the purchaser is to be printed. Must be printed. This is effective from 14th of September. All the statements that are given are correct. D is the correct answer. D is the correct answer. Next question. Next question. Consider the following statement regarding the DD and BC. A DD once expired after 3 months cannot be revalidated under any circumstances. Incorrect. A DD can be revalidated once within a year. It cannot be revalidated. It can be, but within a year. Statement number 1 is incorrect. Next, interest on delayed in issuance of duplicate DD is payable even if the request is made by the third party holder. This statement is again incorrect. Interest on delay in issuance of duplicate DD is not payable to the third party. It is only payable if the request comes from the purchaser or the beneficiary. Both the statements are incorrect. That will give us D as the correct answer. Interest on delay is only applicable if the request is from the purchaser or the third party. Next question. NEFT. Is NEFT done in real time? No. NEFT is done on half-hourly batches. It is a deferred net settlement system, not a real-time system. Statement number 1 is incorrect. Others are correct. That will give us B as the correct answer. Next question. RTGS. RTGS. Question is on the screen. RTGS is available 24/7, 365 days. RTGS settlement is done in real-time basis. There is no netting. Next, statement number 1 and 3 are correct. 2 is not. The credit to beneficiary account is delayed if the name does not match the account number. See, in RTGS, we just check the account number. The mismatch of name does not affect anything. Statement number 2 is incorrect. Very good. A is the correct answer. A is the correct answer. Next question. Consider the following statement regarding RTGS. Statement number 1 is incorrect, 2 is correct. Very good, Savit Mehta ji. Very good, Mehra ji. Very good. See, sender to receiver information is optional and generally ignored during processing. Sender to receiver information is mandatory. Especially for stating the purpose of transfer, it is mandatory. Statement number 1 is incorrect. RTGS requires IFSC code of the beneficiary bank for a successful processing. Yes, it does. B is the correct answer. B is the correct answer. Next, regarding EBT. It is saying that it eliminates the need to coordinate. No, it does not eliminate the need of coordination. The coordination is mandatory, is crucial. Statement number 1 is incorrect. Statement number 2 is also incorrect. Under the EBT system, the funds are routed through savings bank account of the state bank to the RBI in the RBI and directly credited to the beneficiaries. No. Funds are routed from the savings bank account of the nodal department of the leader bank. Not RBI, nodal department of the leader bank. Statement number 1 and 2 are incorrect, 3 and 4 are correct. D is the correct answer. D is the correct answer. Next question. Next question is also regarding EBT. See, statement number 1 is correct, statement number 2 and 3 are not correct. Compliant redressal officer also handles delayed credit, they handle wrongful transfer, they handle transfers, they handle frauds. They do not just handle the seeding. This is incorrect. Business correspondents do much more than delivering cash. They enroll beneficiaries, they open account, they seed Aadhaar. Okay, so statement number 1 is correct, 2 and 3 are not correct. That will give us A as the correct answer. Very good, very good. A is the correct answer. Next, regarding safe deposit lockers as per RBI revised guidelines. In case of locker surrender, the proportional advance rent is not refunded. Suppose I took a locker for 1 year, but I have to leave India for after using it for 3 months. I want to empty the locker. Will the bank not give me the remaining money? It will. It will refund me the proportionate amount. Statement number 2 is incorrect. 1 is correct. A is the correct answer. Next question. What are correct? Regarding lockers, what are correct? Very good, Akansha ji and Mehra ji. Statement number 1 is incorrect. If a locker is found open after operation, it must be sealed at the higher informed only by post. We can message. We are now developed. There is electronicas, SMS, WhatsApp, calls, emails, letter. Why do we have to wait for a post? And why is only post an option? Statement number 1 is incorrect. Others are correct. That will give us B as the correct answer. B is the correct answer. Very good. Next question. Which of the following statements are correct regarding the operations and security of the deposit locker? Ingress means when we go from one door and we come out from the same door. Ingress and egress of the bank staff to the bank vault. Entering and exiting. Ingress means entering. Egress means exiting the bank of the bank staff to the vault room needs not be recorded. It must be recorded. It must be recorded. Statement number 1 is incorrect. Statement number 2. is correct. Statement number 3, the locker room should ideally have multiple entries. No, it should just have one entry. Statement number 3 is also incorrect. That will give us C as the correct answer. C is the correct answer. Very good. Now, we have unit 16, financial inclusion and financial literacy. This is not a very important unit. It is a part of you that you have to study, but I'm not saying that focus a lot over this. It is a unit which you can attempt, which you can just go through. Just read the notes that I have provided to you and it will be sufficient. Question, see, there is a difference between a business facilitator and a business correspondent. Business correspondents and business facilitators help the bank to establish their bank branches in the places when there are in the rural areas basically. Okay, this is the difference between the BFs and the BCs. Please read this. Please read this before moving to the MCQs. Please read this. Let's attempt question number 1. Question number 1 is on the screen. After how many days of non-satisfactory response from the bank can a customer approach the ombudsman regarding complaints on BCs and BFs? We can reach out to the ombudsman only after 30 days. The rule is 30 days. We wait for the bank to reply for 30 days. Okay? Yes, B is the correct answer. B is the correct answer. Next, question number 2. Which of the following entities is excluded from being appointed as a BC? Who cannot be a BC? An NBFC that takes public deposit cannot be a BC. D is the correct answer. RBI guideline excludes NBFC from being appointed as a BC. Only non-deposit taking BCs are allowed. Even then, only by commercial banks and not RRBs. Next question. Question number 3 is on the screen. Which of the following regulators are associated with the establishment of the National Center for Financial Education, NCFE? It is RBI, SEBI, IRDAI and PFRDA. See, all of these, all of the first ones are important persons or important entities that work in the financial sector. So all of these are the one who are playing an important role. Next question. A is the correct answer. They are the 4 key financial regulators. They are the people who are most important in our money market. Next question. All the statements given on the screen are correct. They are correct. If you want me to explain any of the statement, please let me know in the chat section. All the statements that are given are correct. D is the correct answer. Next question. Which of the following statements regarding BCs are correct? BC are authorized to provide services like dispersing large value loans, managing bank accounts and offering credit card services. Can BC do all of these things? No. No. Their scope is very limited. They are the lending hand. They are an extended arm of the bank. They can give small loans. They can help people with loan processing. They can help with financial products, but not all of the credit facilities. They are the duties of the bank. Statement number 1 is incorrect. A post office, cooperative society, SHGs can be BCs. Yes, they can be. Yes, they can be. B is the correct answer. Okay, Sushil ji. BCs are exclusively operate under the name of the bank they are associated with and cannot provide services for the other financial institutions. See, this is a requirement. BC can operate. Okay. No. BC actually can operate for multiple banks. Give me a second, please. Yes, I'm explaining this. Give me a second. BCs, see, yes, statement number 2 is correct. See, BCs can, BFs cannot, BF can be for multiple institutions, but BC is just for one. It is a requirement of the business correspondents that they act for just one bank. The business facilitators can act for multiple banks. So statement number 1, 2 is saying the BCs must exclusively operate for one bank and are associated and they cannot provide services for other financial institutions. Who are BCs? They are the extended arm. They are the people who are helping the banks to grow. They even deal with cashes. So you cannot handle the cash of more than one bank. You are hired for the small disbursement, for giving out insurance, for giving out mutual funds. They are usually the retired employees of the banks, the MFIs. But BFs are the persons who are asking, they are identifying the borrowers, they are helping bank to spread the awareness about the banks. Okay, so they can help for multiple banks. They can help in multiple banks. D is the correct answer. Okay, now we was, yes, question number, this next question is on the screen. Sushil ji, I have given a chart, a difference between BCs and BFs in the starting. Okay, go through that. So people do get confused between the business correspondents and the business facilitators. It is totally fine to get confused, but you just go through it maybe twice so that you can remember. Statement number 1 is incorrect. Banks must allow BCs and BFs to charge customers directly for the services. No, not allowed. Not allowed. BCs and BFs are prohibited from charging any amount from the customers. Statement number 1 is incorrect. 2 and 3 are correct. B is the correct answer. Next question. Statement number 1 is correct. USBs are low-cost brick and mortar structure to support the BCs in rural areas. Yes, they are kind of small bank, one-room bank. Okay. Statement number 2 is again correct. The USBs are linked to the branch base through CBS terminals. They have printers. They have safe cash retention. Next, USBs are managed by part-time bank employees. No, they are managed by the full-time bank employees. Statement number 3 is incorrect. C is the correct answer. They are managed by the full-time bank employees. Yes. Next question. Again regarding USBs are in 3 to 4 kilometer radius. They are in 3 to 4 kilometer radius. Statement number 1 is incorrect. Statement number 2, considered independent banking outlets or part-time banking outlets. Yes, they are. Statement number 2 is correct. That will give us B as the correct answer. Next question. This is regarding payments bank. Statement number 1 is correct. No, it is not. See, the maximum amount allowed is 2 lakhs. Statement number 1 is incorrect. 2 and 3 are correct. That will give us D as the correct answer. USBs means ultra small banks. What happens is, proper bank takes a lot of place. There has to be cashiers, there are managers, there are locker provisions, there are everything. ठीक है, safe custody provisions है, बहुत सारे documents के लिए there is a back room, there is a staff room, etc etc. ठीक है. So what happens in USBs is, what ultra small bank में what happen is, they are just a one room space. They are established in very rural areas where there is no proper convenience but banking services need to be provided there. तो क्या करते हैं? We take a room, we establish a printer there, we establish a safe custody, cash safe custody locker there for us to keep our money and to retain the money, and we make our employees sit there to help the bank. So they are independent, their customers are independent, they are part-time banks basically. Okay, next question. D is the correct answer. It is 2 lakh rupees per customer. Next, mobile banking and financial inclusions. Mobile banking helps wage earners to send money instantly without losing a work day wage. Yes, you can instantly put details on your mobile and send the money and receive the money. Mobile banking services are not widely adopted due to high cost smartphones. Smartphones are too cheap these days. Internet is available every place. So statement number 2 is incorrect. Statement number 3 is correct. Agents of BCs use POS instrument to offer banking services to unbanked areas. Yes, they do. B is the correct answer. B is the correct answer. Last question from this unit. USSD. The small Nokia 500, Nokia 1100 mobiles like these. You can do the things on these mobiles as well. You can make payments by using these small mobiles. The hashtag is *99#. Statement number 1 is incorrect. Statement number 1 is incorrect. We have to tell what is not correct. It was launched based on IMPS platform. No. It is based on UPI. Based on UPI, not IMPS. Statement number 2 is also incorrect. Third is correct. We have to tell what is not correct. C is the correct answer. C is the correct answer. Now we have Unit 17. Unit 17 talks about basically the ATM operations. Again, not a very important unit. A topic, just go through the units and attempt the MCQs and it will be sufficient. So, this is the key synthesis of Unit 17. Okay? What branch does what? What is the exam metrics? What are the things do you need to keep in mind? Go through this chart. Which of the following is not one of the board approved customer services policy that bank must maintain and publicize? What is the thing that bank must maintain? Not, which is not mandatory. It is customer credit risk assessment policy. Statement number A, option number A is incorrect. Banks are required to frame and publicize 4 customer service focused policies: comprehensive deposit policies, check collection policy, customer compensation policy, and customer grievance redressal policy. What is the maximum customer liability for an unauthorized transaction in a BSBD account when the delay in reporting is 4 to 7 days, 7 working days? It is 5,000 rupees. You have to learn this, okay? The maximum liability is 5,000 rupees or transaction value, whichever is lower. Third, which of the following is an example of voucher generation transaction handled during in extended business hours? It is D, the issue of term deposit receipt. Voucher generated transactions are those requiring accounting entries and documentation. Issuing a TDR involves creating a financial instruments and entry. Option A to C are non-voucher generated services. Next question. Which of the following statements are correct regarding RBI guideline? What, Sushil ji? Question is on the screen. All the statements given are correct. All the statements that are given are correct. What I think? Limit of BSBDA provision, last 2 question. What? Limit of is there something wrong? Next question. Customer service framework in banks as per RBI guidelines. The standing committee should be chaired by CMD or ED, not RBI representative. Statement number 1 is incorrect. CMD or ED. Statement number 2 is correct. That will give us B as the correct answer. B is the correct answer. Next question. Which of the statements regarding board approved policies of customer services and bank are correct? Statement number 1 is correct. The customer compensation policy does include interest payment of delay in issuing duplicate draft. Question statement number 2 is not correct. The comprehensive deposit policy should set out depositor's right, not the bank's right. It talks about the depositor's right. Statement number 3 is correct. The check collection policy must cover time frames for collection and interest for delayed collection. Statement number 1 and 3 are correct. That will give us B as the correct answer. B is the correct answer. Next. The RBI directors. Statement number 1 is correct. Statement number 2 is not correct. The roving officials are extended to ensure employees' responsiveness and assist customer. They don't check them when the employee is coming. They do not check the punctuality of the staff. They see what is the person need and they help them out. Statement number 2 is incorrect. That will give us A as the correct answer. Very good. Next question. Next question. Statement number 1 is correct. Customer service audit and service are required to assess and improve branch performance. These services, these audits helps us to improve the performance. Statement number 2 is not correct. It is not English and Hindi only. It is local language as well. Statement number 1 is correct. 2 is not correct. That will give us A as the correct answer. Regarding ATM operation services. See, the ATMs are allowed, customers are allowed to use 5 free ATM transactions per month in their own transactions. Yes. Non-metro can take 3 free transactions from other. It is 5 free transaction. 5. Non-metro it is 5. Metro it is 3. Statement number 2 is incorrect. Statement number 2 is incorrect. Statement number 3 is correct. The PIN validation is required for every successive ATM transaction. Banks are not required to display any contact information at ATM kiosk. Why? We inform the customer if you have any issue, call us. That will give us 1 and 3. A is the correct answer. A is the correct answer. Nice, Sushil ji. Statement number 4 to incorrect. Statement number 2 is also incorrect. In metro centers, it is 3 transactions from other ATM. In non-metro, it is 5 transactions from other ATM. From your ATM, it is 5 transactions, which are free. Next, which of the following statements regarding ATM operations are correct? The uniform complaint template prescribed by RBI should be displayed at ATM kiosks. Yes. The cash out over 10 hours in a month at an ATM is a penalty of 10,000 rupees. Yes. Customer complaint regarding failed ATM transaction must be resolved within T plus 5 days. In T plus 5 days. Yes. Very good. D is the correct answer. All the statements are correct. Now we have unit 18. We have unit 18. I'm giving you a 2 minutes break here. I'll meet you after 2 minutes. We'll continue with unit 18 and eventually we'll move on to the remaining units. Unit 18 talks about the rights and duties of bankers and customer. This is again a good unit. Focus on this unit, and eventually we have 19, 20, 21, the law based units, which we eventually be covering today anyhow. Let's meet after 2 minutes. Let's take a 2 minute break. Question number 1. Which of the following is not among the obligations. Which of the following is not among the obligations? To click on email links to access bank websites quickly. There is nothing like this. Clicking on received emails or SMS is discouraged due to phishing risks. Next question. Which of the following is a valid instance of disclosure in the instance of bank? Sharing customer loan details data with credit information company, so that people may know that this person, there is a due diligence over that person if he makes NPs. B is the correct answer. Next, BSC SBI has discontinued operations to object the trust effective from April 1 of which year? 2019. Of April 1, 2019. February 2019, the RBI opined that the functions of BSBI should be handled by and advised by the RBI themselves. So BSBI continued the operations in their own name effective from 1st April 2019. Next question. The duty of secrecy is absolute and cannot be waived off under any circumstance. The duty is qualified, not absolute. Statement number 1 is incorrect. Others are correct. That will give us B as the correct answer. The duty is qualified, not absolute. Which of the following statement about the bank's duty of secrecy are correct? Bank can disclose information to guarantors for loan recovery. Yes, they can. Bank can disclose the authority under the certain acts like income tax and FMI. Yes, they can. Both the statements are correct. C is the correct answer. C is the correct answer. Consider the following statements regarding garnish order. What is a garnish order? Garnish order means a judgment debtor's debtor is a garnishee. If I have money in my bank and there is a person who has filed a case against me and I have lost that case and there is some money I have to pay, bank can be ordered to freeze my account to that sum of money. Bank is the garnishee. The garnish order issued in the name of one person does not apply to the joint account held with other. Can garnishee order be applied on the joint account? Yes, it cannot be. It cannot be. Garnish order cannot apply to joint accounts. Statement number 1 is correct. Statement number 2 is also correct. The bank must stop debit operations and inform the customer. Statement number 3 is incorrect. The garnishee order is not prospective. If you have opened a new account, garnishee order will not apply on that. It is not prospective. Statement number 3 is incorrect. That will give us A as the correct answer. Garnishee orders are not prospective. It does not apply to new accounts unless separately attached. Read the question, please. Read the question, attempt the question, give me the reply. Mr. Ramesh has maintained a savings account in Alpha Bank for 5 years. The bank noticed multiple check bounce, the high cash transaction without justification, the suspected link to fraudulent activities. The branch manager decided to close the account and issue 30 days notice to Mr. Ramesh. Meanwhile, Mr. Ramesh's uncle, who also has an account in the same bank, passed away and the bank was notified. The bank stopped all debit transactions in the deceased uncle account and began to to hand over the account balance to the legal heir. Since no nominee was registered, additionally, a garnishee order was received by the bank from a local court regarding Mr. Ramesh's account. The bank withheld payment and began taking legal steps accordingly. Which of the following statements, following action by the bank is not in accordance with the termination of relationship? You cannot, if you have received a garnishee order, you cannot close the account. Closing Mr. Ramesh's account immediately after receiving garnish order without legal procedure is something that the bank cannot do. We have to tell what the bank cannot do. आपको garnish order आ गया, the garnish order has been received. You will freeze the account. You will not close the account. You will not close the account. D is the correct answer. Consider the following statements regarding BCSBI. BCSBI was recommended by Tarapur committee. Statement number 1 is correct. Statement number 2 is incorrect because BCSBI is registered under the Societies Act, not RBI Act. Statement number 3 is also correct. A is the correct answer. A is the correct answer. It was registered under the Society Registration Act of 1816, not RBI Act. Last question from this unit. Statement number 1 is correct, 2 is not correct, 3 is correct, 4 is correct. See, it was dissolved in 2019. I just told you this. It was dissolved in 2019. Statement number 1 is 2 is incorrect, others are correct. C is the correct answer. This is the sum of unit 18. Now we have unit 19, the RBI Integrated Ombudsman Scheme. What is the ombudsman scheme? We used to have 3 ombudsmen. Yes, Sushilji, we used to have 3 ombudsmen. The first one was for banking, the second one was for NBFCs, and the third one was for digital transactions. People were confused to whom to go, and there was a lot of chaos regarding which ombudsman has the jurisdiction at where. So what we did is we made all the schemes into one. We integrated them. We didn't remove them. We combined them, and we said now there is no different ombudsman. If you have an issue with the bank or the activities of the bank, you can reach out to the ombudsman. How to reach out to an ombudsman? First, you tell the bank. First, you tell the frontline officer or the bank manager. The frontline of the bank manager, if they are not able to solve your query, they will transfer your complaint to the regional office within 7 days. The bank needs to give you a reply within 30 days. Either they'll tell you about the issues, they'll resolve your issue, or they'll reject your issue. Yes, Pavitra ji? They'll resolve your issue or they'll reject your issue. If you are not satisfied, if there is no reply given or a reply is given to you and you are not satisfied with that reply, you can file an application with the RBI Ombudsman from the date of non-receival of the receipt or unsatisfactory response. You have 1 year to file a complaint with the Ombudsman. There is a central authority. It's okay. Okay. There is an ombudsman. Right now, currently, we have 24 ombudsmen in India. The matters go to the ombudsman. This ombudsman, what they do is they first facilitate. They make for what they do is they ask the bank, the regulating entities, not just the bank, the regulating entities, what is the issue? What is your defense? Why is the customer unhappy? The regulated entities have 15 days to reply to the ombudsman that what is the defense. Basically, to provide the defense, they have 15 days. If the RE does not give a defense, they will not be allowed to go to appeal to the adjudicating authority. Appellate authority, they cannot go if there is no defense provided, though appeal right to the bank. If the ombudsman, first what the ombudsman will do, they'll make the bank and the customer sit together and solve the issue. That is facilitation. If they are not coming to an agreement themselves, the conciliation or mediation method will be used. And if there is no agreement between the same, ombudsman will pass an order according to the facts and circumstances. This order can be accepted by the customer within 30 days. If the customer wants to accept the order, he has 30 days to accept that. If he does not accept in 30 days, it will be deemed it has automatically rejected. If the customer accepts the order, the bank can go in appeal. If the customer does not accept the order, the customer can go in appeal. Okay? Now, let's start with the MCQs. This is the chart. What the timelines? I've already told you every single thing. See, there is a change in this timeline. Okay, the maximum loss that you can ask from the ombudsman is, the maximum loss that can be given to you by the ombudsman is 20 lakh rupees plus 1 lakh rupees harassment. But from 1st of July 2026, this amount is getting changed. The maximum loss that will be allowed is 30 lakh rupees, and for harassment you can ask for 3 lakh rupees. So please read the question properly. If the statement says what is the compensation that can be given as per the scheme right now, you write 20 lakhs and 1 lakh. But if it says what is the revised version, you write 30 lakhs and 3 lakhs. Question number 1 is on the screen. Question number 1 is on the screen. See, this scheme particularly is important for you all. That is why I took 5 minutes time to explain the scheme. Although we have done the revision of this scheme in the classes, but it was a necessity at my end. That's why I explained it to you. Okay, let's attend the question, please. Question number 1 is on the screen. Statement number 1 is correct, 2 is correct, 3 is correct, 4th is not correct. Again, one more point. You cannot represent yourself in front of the ombudsman. You cannot ask a lawyer to represent you. You cannot ask an advocate to represent you. Anybody can represent yourself. Like, you can either represent yourself, you can ask somebody to represent you in front of the ombudsman, but not a lawyer, not an advocate. An advocate themselves can represent themselves, but not in the capacity of a lawyer, as an individual only. So statement number 1, 2, 3 and 5 are correct. 4th is not. 4th is not correct. D is the correct answer. Complaint filed. A complainant filed through practicing advocate who is not an aggrieved party. Advocates are not allowed. This is an exemption. This is a special provision. Schemes allow complaints to be filed by the complainant personally, or they can through a representative, but not via advocates. Advocate can represent himself if they are the aggrieved party, again, but not in the capacity of an advocate. Question number 2. Question number 2. The CCSO means Chief Customer Service Officer. The RBI guideline states that the person appointed at CCSO must not work in the same bank they are appointed. They must not have worked ever in that same bank. This ensures impartiality. Therefore, it cannot be someone who has worked who is in the same bank. Statement number 1 is incorrect. So service at least 5 years, point is wrong. The IO examined officer complains. The statement number 2 and 3 are correct. The IO, that is internal ombudsman, must review complaints involving service deficiency that have been either partially or completely rejected by the bank. The third statement is also correct. It is as per the revised internal ombudsman scheme. All scheduled commercial banks, excluding RRBs, with more than 10 branches, can appoint an IO. B is the correct answer. Next question. There is a CRPC which is in Chandigarh. This is a center where you can send your complaints, and this center will give your information, will allocate your complaints to an ombudsman. They do not solve the issues, they allocate your complaints. They do not entertain the suggestions, they do not entertain the inquiries, they do not entertain the explanations. They entertain the issues and send them to whom? To the ombudsman. Statement number 1 is correct. No, 1 is not correct. 2 and 3 are correct. See, IOS 1 is not correct. The IOS covers commercial banks, NBFCs, but exclude cooperative banks. See, I've talked about this. All the commercial banks, okay, all the NBFCs, and all the cooperative banks. Not all, sorry. The cooperative banks with the deposit size of 50 crore and above can come in the scheme. The cooperative banks which are below, which have the deposit limit of below than 50 crores cannot come into this scheme. So statement number 1 is incorrect, 2 and 3 are correct. That will give us A as the correct answer. Very good, Sushil ji. Next question. Which of the following statements are correct regarding the RBI instructions to bank on complaints relating to disclosure? Banks must analyze complaint primarily to identify weak staff performance and recommend disciplinary action. See, this is incorrect. The purpose of analyzing the complaint is not to assess the individual staff performance. We see how to resolve the customer issue. We see what is the deficiency, why is the customer giving us the request that there is deficiency. We work on that. We do not discipline the staff. Statement number 1 is incorrect. Other statements are correct. That will give us B as the correct answer. The purpose of analyzing complaint is not assess staff performance for disciplinary purpose. Instead, it is meant to identify the areas where complaints are frequent, source of systematic deficiency, and to strengthen the grievance redressal mechanism. Next question. Question number 5. For mental harassment, it is 1 lakh rupees. For consequential loss, it is 20 lakh rupees. Statement number 1 is incorrect. Statement number 1 is incorrect. The compensation for consequential loss is 20 lakhs. For mental harassment is 1 lakh. Ulta de rakha hai. It is given differently. Statement number 1 and 4 are incorrect. 2, 3, 5 are correct. A is the correct answer. Next question. Which of the following statements are correct in the context of RBI grievance redressal mechanism and regulatory expectations from bank? C is the correct answer. Very good, Sushil ji. Statement number 2 and 5 are incorrect. C is the correct answer. Peer groups are classified based on the asset size from 31st March of previous year, not on the net profit level. The nodal officer must be at the general manager rank, not deputy GM. Also, the requirement is to send their name and address to RBI and promptly display contact details. No annual reporting is mentioned. Next question. Next question. Statement number 1 is incorrect. Complaints resolved within next working days are excluded from disclosures. Peer group is 31st March of the previous year, not current year. Statement number 1 and 2 are correct. Incorrect. Fourth is also incorrect. RBI cost recovery mechanism applies to all banks with digital complaint ratio above the median. It is regarding the average peer ratio. It is not the median. It is not the median. Statement number 3 is only correct. Others are incorrect. A is the correct answer. Now we have Consumer Protection Act. We have Consumer Protection Act. It is okay. We have talked about CPA in the morning itself, right? So let's attempt the question. Which of the following, what is the term of the president or a member of state district commission? It is 4 years till the age of 65. Which of the following statements are correct with respect of the manner of making a complaint under CPA? Customer who buys goods for resale can file a complaint to district commission? No, he cannot. Legal heir of the deceased customer is eligible to file a complaint before the district commission? Yes. The guest who consumes defective goods at a party can complain even if they did not buy the goods themselves? Yes. Even though the guest did not buy directly, he had implicit permission from the buyer. My father bought me some goods. Okay, he got me a goods. He's got some goods to me. He paid for those goods. I am consuming them. He didn't consume those goods. I did. I fall sick. I did not pay for it, but somebody on my behalf did. I am a customer. I can file a case. Statement number 3 is correct. A person acting as surety for bank loans is considered as customer and can file a complaint against the bank? No. A person acting as a surety for a loan does not avail any services. He is acting as a guarantor. He is not the person taking the loan. He is not the customer. Statement number 4 is incorrect. Statement number 5 is correct. Statement number 5 is correct. 2, 3 and 5 are correct. A is the correct answer. Very good, Sushilji. A is the correct answer. Is the explanation for all. Next question. What is the time limit within which the application must be filed to review? It is 30 days. Review within 30 days. Review within 30 days. Next, Mr. Sharma, consumer, files a complaint before the District Consumer Dispute Redressal Commission against a refrigerator company, alleging that the refrigerator stopped working after 1 year. However, it was found later that the warranty had already expired and the refrigerator stopped working due to mishandling by Mr. Sharma himself. The company provided sufficient evidence, including service logs and customer support records, to prove that the complaint was baseless and filed only to harass the company. For frivolous cases, there is a compensation. There is a compensation up to 10,000 rupees, which is paid by the customer to the third party. The answer is C. Frivolous complaints, 10,000 rupees penalty. Which of the following qualifies as a public authority under RTI? Public authority under RTI framework. The public authority is the body which is financed by the state government. B. Next question. Consider the following regarding CPA. It applies to whole of India. Provides CPA overrides all other provisions. It does not override. It is supplementary to. CPA is supplementary, not overriding. CPA includes provisions related to advertisement and endorsement. Yes, it does. 1 and 3 are correct. A is the correct answer. Next question. Nice, Sushilji. Goods purchased for commercial purpose are excluded from the scope of CPA. Yes, they are. Acts introduced the concept of unfair contract for the first time. Yes, it did. Both the statements are correct. C is the correct answer. Which of the following are correct? A customer includes anyone who buys goods or avails service for consideration, including deferred payment. Yes. A person who buys goods for commercial resale is also considered as a customer. No. The use of goods or services by another person is also covered, provided it was used by the buyer's approval. Yes. The transaction made online via teleshopping or direct selling are now covered under the customer. Yes. 1, 3, 4 are correct. C is the correct answer. C is the correct answer. Next. A customer has the right to be informed about the price and purity of the goods or the services. Yes, the person also using goods for self-employment to earn livelihood is excluded. No, he is included. A tailor buying a machine to make clothes for somebody else is included as a customer. Customer rights includes the right to seek redressal and right to be heard. Yes, statement number 1 and 3 are correct. A is the correct answer. A is the correct answer. Next question. Consider following statements regarding product seller. Product seller. Statement number 1 is correct, 2 is correct, 3 is not correct. Seller of immovable property are not considered as product sellers unless engaged in contracting or selling constructed homes or flats. Statement number 3 is incorrect, 1 and 2 are correct, A is the correct answer. Next, unfair trade practice and contract. A clause of service agreement that allows the service provided to terminate the contract at will even without cause is unfair trade practice. No, it is unfair contract. A contract. It is written in the contract that we can do whatever we want to. This is unfair contract, not practice. Practice is something that we are doing on a day-to-day basis. Representing refurbished laptop as brand new, this is a practice. Charging a customer a cancellation fees that exceeds the actual loss is unfair contract. Yes, it is. 2 and 3 are correct. B is the correct answer. Next question. Consider what is correct regarding CPC. Consumer Protection Council deals with consumer complaints at both initial and appellate level. At both commission and appellate level. No, this council is advisory. They do not handle the complaints. The CPC has maximum 36 members. Yes, it does. The minister in charge of central is the minister in charge of consumer affairs is the chairperson. Yes, he is. B is the correct answer. Next question. Next. See, this is the difference between 1986 Act and the 2018-19 Act. Now we have RTI. Okay, I've explained RTI in the morning. I hope RTI is clear to everybody. There is a diagram of the RTI which I explained in the morning. I have brought it here as well so that you can read it down. Who appoints the State Chief Commissioner or State Information Commissioner? It is the person who is at the state level. That is Governor of the state. B is the correct answer. Next, Ravi, a citizen, submits an RTI application to the Central Public Information Officer of an agreement department seeking details about funds allocated for the sanctioned project in his district. Despite the passage of 30 days, he did not receive any reply. When he contacted the office, he was informed that the application was never received. Feeling aggrieved, he filed first appeal to the officer in rank of 2 CPIO, but did so after 40 days, citing medical emergency as a reason for delay. Later, he found out that the information provided during the hearing was incomplete and misleading. He now wants to pursue the matter further. Based on the case, which of the following are correct? Can the delay be condoned? Yes, it can be. Delay in filing first appeal can be condoned if he provides sufficient reasons. Statement number B, option number B is correct. Option number B is correct. We have to tell what is not correct. Ravi is entitled to file a complaint to CPIO due to non-receipt of response. Yes. Ravi receives misleading information. He can raise the issue before the commission. Yes. Second appeal before the CIC within 90 days. It is 90 days, not 30 days. So D is the incorrect one. We have to tell what is not correct. It is D. The time period to file a second appeal is 90 days. Which of the following qualifies as a public authority under RTI framework? A private company not receiving any government funds. We have to tell what qualifies as an authority. A company which is financed by the state government. Yes. A is the correct answer. B is the correct answer. Next. Which of the following are correct regarding the obligations of public authority under RTI Act? Please answer the question. Statement number 1 is correct. Statement number 1 is correct. Statement number 3 is correct. Statement number 2 is not correct. Public authority must publish much more than just organizational structure or contact details. They disclose all the relevant information like budget, like remuneration to the employees, like rules and regulations, their norms, their decision-making procedure, their authorities, etc. etc. So statement number 2 is incorrect. That will give us C as the correct answer. C is the correct answer. Next, which of the following reasons justify non-disclosure of information under the RTI Act? When it is regarding somebody's personal safety, when it is regarding trade secrets, when it is regarding cabinet's deliberations, we do not give information. D is the correct answer, all of the above. Which of the following statements regarding CIC are correct? Please read the question. Please read the question. Statement number 1 is correct. 3 is correct. 2 is not correct. A member of parliament or state legislature cannot be appointed as CIC. Also disqualified are this person holding an office of profit connected to political parties. Public personals cannot be, the members of parliament cannot be CIC. They have to be an impartial person. Statement number 2 is incorrect. That will give us B as the correct answer. No, Sushil ji, B will be the correct answer. Which of the following statements regarding RTI are correct? C is the correct answer. Statement number 3 is not correct. The Act applies to both central and state government institutions. C is the correct answer. Very good. Next question. Last question from RTI. Statement number 1 is correct. Statement number 2 is correct. C is the correct answer. C is the correct answer. Both the statements are correct. Next, now we have module B. Okay, let's do one unit from here. Let's do unit 22. These are the ones that I have started are the important units. Let's attempt the questions from unit 22 and we'll end the class. Principles of lending, types of borrowers, and types of credit facilities. So here we have talked about the different types of borrowers, what are the provisions made for the borrowers, who can open a current account, who can open a savings account, etc. Okay, what is a term loan, what is a working loan, there's a difference of it. Which of the following is not considered a consumption loan by bank? Consumption loan is which is not a consumption loan. For leisure travels, it is not a consumption loan. घूमने जाना है. Is this a loan? A consumption loan? No. Okay. My mistake. Consumption loan में ना whatever an individual needs for the day-to-day life will come. Whatever you need to do in your day-to-day life for your personal living will come. Business activities won't come. B is the correct answer. Loan for consumption purpose, including home loan, medical expense, education, leisure travels, and personal loans. These are not meant to generate the business income. On the other hand, loan for machinery is a productive business investment, not for consumption. Next, consider the following statements regarding bill finance facilities. Bill finance facilities. Bill discounting and bill purchase are both fund-based that results in immediate credit to the borrower's account. Yes? Yes? Serial number 2. Advances against bill for collecting involves financing without applying any margin or work exactly like bill purchase. No. Advances against bills for collecting is not identical to bill purchase. It involves drawing powers based on the bills. Okay? There is a margin. It is not at all like bill purchases. Statement number 2 is incorrect. Bills co-acceptance act like a bank guarantee and is non-fund based credit facility. Yes. Statement number 1 and 3 are correct. C is the correct answer. C is the correct answer. Next question. Which of the following statements are correct in the context of partnership firm with Indian law? A partnership firm is a separate legal entity distinct from its partners. Yes, it is. No, it is not. No, it is not. Partnership firms are not a legal entity. LLPs are, companies are, but partnerships are not. Statement number 2. The partner in a trading firm has implied authority to borrow money and pledge property. Yes. The partnership firm mandates the compulsory registration of all the partnership firm. No. The firm or its partners cannot file a suit against the third party if the firm is not registered. Yes. Statement number 1 is incorrect, 2 is correct, 3 is incorrect, 4 is correct, and 5th is also correct. Two partnership cannot enter into a partnership, but one partner, all partners of the both firm can individually form a new partnership. Yes. 1 is incorrect, 3 is incorrect. A is the correct answer. A is the correct answer. A contract signed by a person of an unsound mind at the time of signing it is invalid and unenforceable because he is of unsound mind. He was unsound while he was signing the contract. Then he cannot enter into a contract. Which of the following statements are correct in relation to working capital adequacy and its impact on risks and profitability? Statement number 1 and 2 are correct. 3rd is not. Banks are only provide fund-based facilities like cash credit and to meet working capital needs. No, bank provides both cash-based and fund-based and non-fund-based. Fund-based महंगे credit, cash credit, bill finance, overdraft. Non-fund based में आएगा letter of credit, bank guarantee, and both of these can be used to meet the working capital needs. Statement number 3 is incorrect. That will give us A as the correct answer. Next question. Statement number 1 is incorrect. A cash credit overdraft arrangement does not always require a written agreement. Statement number 2 is correct. 3 is correct. 4th is not correct. It was held. See, banks are legally permitted to terminate overdraft facilities at any time without prior notice. There is a mandate of notice. Statement number 4 and 1 are incorrect. That will give us D as the correct answer. Banks cannot unilaterally terminate the facilities without giving proper notice. As per July 2019, a company with a share capital cannot commence business or borrow unless the declaration is filed within dash days from the date of incorporation. It is 180 days from the date of incorporation. Next. Derivative products offered by banks are mainly used by customer for derivatives are categorized as based credit product. Dash and dash for dash. Derivatives are categorized as dash based credit. The answer is used by customer for non-funds derivatives are categorized as hedge currency and interest rate risk. C is the correct answer. C is the correct answer. Next question. Which of the following statements are correct regarding the incorporation and governance of companies under Companies Act? One person company can be formed by a single individual, while a private company needs at least 2 persons. A memorandum of association defines company's permit range of activities and its objects. Yes. The article of association is superior to memorandum of association. No, it is MOA over AOA. A company having share capital cannot commence business unless certain declaration of official verifications are filed. Do we need to do that? Yes, we do. As per 2019 amendment, we need to do this. A company limited by guarantee may or may not have share capital. Yes, it may or may not. 1 and 3 are incorrect. 2, 4, 5 are correct. A is the correct answer. A is the correct answer. Last question of the day. MOM. Let's see. Memorandum of Association is superior. What is Memorandum of Association? Memorandum of Association tells about what is the name of the company, what is the address of the company, who all are the directors of the company, what is the capital of the company, what is the object of the company. Object of the company means क्या काम कर रही है company, what is the work that the company is doing. And it also tells us about the liabilities. It is a document which is the foundation of a company. Article of Association talks about the internal management. Internal management can be changed. Internal management can be changed, but Article of Association is not superior than MOA. MOA basic working के बारे में बता रहा है company के. MOA is telling about what the company is, how the company is, who the company is, what the company is working for. AOA is talking about the rules and regulations of the company. So when we are talking, if there is a conflict between the two, we prioritize MOA. We prioritize Memorandum of Association. Now, which of the following are correct regarding non-fund based facilities? Statement number 1 is incorrect. Non-fund based facilities do not involve an immediate outflow of funds. Letter of credit guarantee the payment of seller's goods upon the presentation of documents, not immediately. 1 is incorrect, third is incorrect. 1 and 3 wherever are mentioned, let's eliminate that. Then we have statement number 6, which is incorrect. Performance guarantee and finance guarantee are primarily used to secure capital goods and long-term loans. They are used for working capital, not capital goods, not long-term goods. Statement number 6 is also incorrect. Wherever 6 is mentioned, let's eliminate that. And we have got B as the correct answer. Here we have completed till unit 22. The remaining part will be dealt with tomorrow. We'll stop the class here. We'll meet tomorrow and we'll attempt next more few MCQs. Till then, thank you. Bye bye. We'll meet soon. If anybody has any doubt, please write that in the chat section. You will get the PDF from the description box mentioned from the description box. If you have any doubt, write that in the chat section. I'll reach out to